Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mel, and on this channel I'm sharing my journey toward homesteading. And right now everybody is getting ready for their gardening season. If you're new to gardening, I will soon have a Planning Your Garden series on my channel to help you plan your growing season. This is what I'm getting ready right now. But it's not what I want to talk to you about. At the end of my first growing season, so in September 2020, I took the time and reflected on what I had learned in the garden and what mistakes I had made, not to make them again. But now, as I'm preparing my Planning Your Garden series, I'm reflecting on things that I wish I had known before starting a garden. Not that it would have discouraged me from starting a garden or anything, but I would have been prepared for these. So here are 5 things that I wish I knew before starting my first garden. The first thing I wish I knew is that good soil can be expensive. In our backyard, the sun exposure is not good at all, so we grow things in pots so we can move them around during the day. And we also have raised beds at my mom's place where there's a lot of sun exposure. But it takes a lot of soil to fill those up, and good soil can be really expensive. I learned that black earth isn't nutritious enough for your plants to thrive. You want your garden beds to be filled with soil that is rich and nutritious in minerals. Therefore, you should look for a soil blend that is made for gardening. But those are not cheap, and it's usually better if you buy them by the cubic yard. I would suggest checking with your local nurseries to see if they offer that service. Check the prices and then make a budget. Ideally, you would do that 3 months before buying your soil because it's going to be expensive and you have to budget that. And to help you with that, I will leave a free tool in the description down below to help you calculate how many cubic yards of soil you need in your garden. If your garden beds are already filled with soil but you don't know if the soil is good quality, you can always buy a test and test your soil yourself, or you can check with your local nurseries, and some nurseries offer that service. A good way of adding nutrients to your soil is just by adding a layer of compost in the spring and fertilize your plant every 2 or 3 weeks. The second thing I learned is that there are actually 3 growing seasons. I thought that in Zone 5B where I live, I could only have a garden from June to September. Turns out, not only can you grow food in the spring, summer, and fall, but some vegetables actually need cold weather to thrive. I was asking myself why I hadn't had any chance growing radishes, spinaches, and Brussels sprouts. So this year I am planning 3 growing seasons, and I will be starting my seedlings in about 7 weeks. To help me with my planning, I'm using this calendar right here. It is free if you want to download it. I will leave the link in the description down below. The only thing is that it's in French, but it's quite visual, so I think you'll be able to understand. And the third thing I wish I knew before starting a garden is that there will be pests. I wish I had knew all the good and the bad visitor to expect in my garden. Although I spent many hours every day in my garden, pests managed to do great damage on my brassicas, on my rose bushes, on my peppers, and on my cucumbers. Even though I know a little bit more what visitors to expect this year, I still need to prepare. I want to be ready. I want to be ready for the day that I go in my garden and I see pests and I am ready to react. I want to research the different pests that might attack the vegetables that I plan on growing this year and educate myself on methods to limit or eliminate the problem if ever they occur. If you want to grow your first garden this year, I suggest you do the same. It's very disheartening to wake up to a half-eaten plant that you've been caring for the past 3 months. Let me tell you that. There will be pests. There will be pests. Be ready. The fourth thing I wish I knew is that warm farming is actually a thing. Until a couple months ago, I didn't even know the benefits of worm casting. Even less that worm farming was a natural thing and that worm casting tea could be used as a fertilizer for your vegetables. This is definitely something that I'm looking into right now and that I wish I had known before starting my first garden. If you're curious about this subject and you want to learn more, I suggest that you check Hey It's a Good Life's YouTube channel. She has a whole playlist about worm farming and worm casting, and she has even written an ebook. And the fifth thing I learned is that gardening is truly meaningful. It's impossible for me to find words to express how deeply meaningful gardening has been for me. I think you really need to experience it to understand how you really become aware of your environment and connected to nature. It all starts with a little seed. You plant it, you water it, you take care of it, and it grows. And it's fascinating. As you spend time taking care of your plants, you'll notice little bees and little insects doing their things, and you'll really start to understand the ecosystem surrounding you. The more and more you spend time in the garden, and the more and more squirrels and birds will come and visit you and be curious about who you are and what you are doing, and they want to spend time in this beautiful space that you have created. You will start to recognize their chants, and you'll know their routines and their habits, and you'll really start to feel a part of the gang. As you harvest your garden, you will feel deep gratitude. As you prepare and preserve your vegetables, you will feel great pride. And when you eat your salad, or when you open that can of jam in the middle of winter, you will remember that little seed you planted at the beginning of the season. And when the frost finally comes and your garden goes to sleep, you will learn how harsh it is to let go of your garden. And I wish I knew that. I learned that black earth isn't nutritious enough for your plants to thrive. I learned that black earth isn't nutritious enough for your plants to thrive. To thrive. I learned that black earth isn't nutritious enough for your plants to thrive. Non, c'est pas ça que je veux dire. I learned that black earth isn't enough. I learned that black earth isn't nutritious enough for your plants to thrive. You really want the soil in the garden. I learned that black dirt is not nutritious enough for your plants to thrive. You want the soil in your garden to be very rich and nutritious in minerals. C'est pas pire ça. Nutritious in minerals. Oh! Can I just talk? Can I just make a sentence? That would be great.